All right, guys, we're back. It's Friday, October 18th. And what can I say? I've been away for almost 2 months, and I'm sorry. Uh, but, when life hits you hard, fast. It just is what it is sometimes. So, once again, thank you for joining Tech Insights with Dillon White. If you could so kindly hit the like button, subscribe, all those wonderful things. Glad to see you stick around. Um, so, those of you that know and follow me on LinkedIn, that's usually where I'm the most active. I've recently said I'm going to join this challenge from a great friend, Alexis Berthoff. See your LinkedIn right there at the top right. I'm super excited to do it. It's 100 days of just being consistent, right? And those of you that know me, that have seen me in the industry for a long time, know I really struggle at being consistent when it comes to the content creation and just keeping active all the time. So this is really hoping to hold me honest and at least making that hit that post button every day, hitting you guys with a little bit of extra something special and juicy to keep us really flowing and keep everybody in the right mindset. I'm a big mindset person. I think for me, my career, when I shifted my mindset left, as we say in the industry, I've seen the most success. And I'm super excited to help bring all that to the rest of you guys around the world and meet new friends, new family, and just excited to talk all things tech, family, life, everything in between. So if you're new here, again, welcome. I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to tell you some things. This video today is going to be all about my journey. We're going to bring back what was a banner for me, and we talked everything about where I've come from, where I've been, and where I'm trying to go. So without further ado, let's see what I'm up to and what we're doing today. Let's get it. All right, guys, here we are. For those of you that didn't watch the video a couple months ago, I think it was almost a year ago now at this point, where I walked through my entire career trajectory from the time I started in IT all the way back 12 years ago in the military. Well, we're here again. We started a new role a few months ago. So I figured, what better way to start a 100-day journey than to dive into what I think just shows the essence of who I am, right? Life is a roller coaster ride of waypoints and journeys that sometimes we don't get to choose. And I'm super excited to show you guys just how my career is built through that time. So we started a long, long way ago outside the military. I got out in 2012. I left A school and joined into my first role as a young IT person, just 21 years of age. And that role was as a level 3 help desk engineer for the United States Coast Guard. We supported over 80,000 endpoints across the world, missions support ranging from search and rescue to drug interdiction to marine search, right, and seizures, to doing migrant patrols, to doing fishing, game, and wildlife, to just doing everyday citizen support. They're so excited, right? Going from doing search and rescue and living on the Great Lakes of our country and doing that mission support, which is so critical, and being in front of everybody every day, just being in a back office in Washington, D.C. It's just standard help desk role, right? You're answering tickets, you're answering calls, you're living in a queue. It was fun to learn, but at the end of the day, it was a help desk role. A year later, I was able to be promoted through a lot of just grind and hard work to being a NOC engineer and a NOC team lead in supporting our 12-hour shift for networking support, supporting all the different circuits for all those 80,000 users, keeping telephone lines up and keeping our internet working, right? Everything from dealing with Cisco support and Cisco and getting my CCNA and all that fun stuff and helping to revitalize that level of the actual orchestration and infrastructure, all the way from dealing with daily reports and how we did automation. It was a lot, I'm not gonna lie. And I said, I don't want to go back to the help desk. So when they came back around and said, hey, your shift here as a NOC engineer is going to end, where would you like to go? I said, put me somewhere where, there might be a banner or a role if I decide to get out of here, right? I was coming up on my 5 of 6 year first enlistment, and I was like, do I want to extend? Are we going to get out? What are we going to do? And so I was like, they said, you either have a role as a virtualization engineer, a backup engineer, or as a network architect. And I said, you know what? What's this virtualization engineer? It's a big word. I can't really spell. So let's go jump into it. And so I jumped in with both feet. I learned everything about Hyper-V, setting up different virtual network infrastructure, virtual cloud infrastructure, virtual hypervisors, what that even meant, because I had no idea. I sat on an interview with a former Coast Guard employee who turned into a government employee through a contracting agency, and he had me do an interview that I've carried on throughout my entire career. He had me break something. He broke something, and he had me try to fix it and walk through my processes on such, and it was so cool. And so that really gave me the feed that, I don't want to go now and sit on a ship and do ship support for, a year and be away from my wife and family. I think I want to test the waters and leave the Coast Guard, right? Personal life happened and said, Dylan, you don't get a choice. You're leaving the Coast Guard. So I would medically retired in the winter of 2016. And I got my first civilian role as a senior Windows system engineer team lead for a Microsoft services partner in just outside of Detroit, Michigan. That partner was a very small partner, but they supported industries like manufacturing, like media, car dealerships. It was so cool to get to see all kinds of different businesses and how they operated. It was very exciting, but the pay was garbage. And so after 6 months, I left and worked for Ford Motor Company as a cybersecurity engineer supporting their antivirus and DLP initiatives. I rolled out antivirus COOP exercises, also known as backup continuity disaster recovery. Right, how do we take it down? How do we roll over? How do we keep it alive if things happen? Right. Also, just end user support. Hey, this AV ran and broke my machine. Right. All that stuff. So running the first DLP initiatives for the business, with a very large named DLP vendor. All that said, I didn't really like DLP, hated it, and I ran away from being IT at Ford. End of the day, they only convert people from contracts if they are fully a college graduate. I wasn't a college graduate. I needed some type of financial support because I had a kid on the way. They didn't have any benefits, and you had to take all kinds of PTO, which I just didn't want to burn. So I started looking for a full role with a corporate entity. And that entity I started working for brought me on as a senior systems administrator, where I was supporting everything from our Slack to our G Suite to our Meraki, doing initial build outs for manufacturing sites. It was all kinds of cool stuff, traveling, staying things up, helping support what was a new business, helping to learn the interviewing and hiring processes for our support of those IT facilities. It was so cool, not gonna lie, but I made a bunch of personal and work-related mistakes. And because of that, I got fired. So what I do from there, I started my own consulting business with my wife. And because of that, I got a contract as an IT manager, which was awesome. But also told me you end up being tied to your phone 24/7, right? Because you're not a W-2 employee. You're controlling your own money and your family's financial history. And COVID hit during that, as you guys can see from the timeline, right? 2019, 2020. 2020 was insanely hard, right? I was going from having a full overload of work with an IT manager role for a contract with other contracts coming in to having nothing, right? I made a couple personal mistakes there with the IT management role and it just let me down, right? I let myself down and let that contract down. And because of that, right, I'm out here looking for another job and saying, hey, how can I do better, right? How can I do better? So I worked directly with recruiters like I did back in 2016 and said, hey, what kind of as jobs or outlooks are out there and what are they looking for, right? Can you tell me? I live in Michigan, but I'm willing to move anywhere, right? Right now, whoever sends me the best job that can help pay my bills and feed my family, I'm there, right? And so a couple of recruiters that I made really good friends with said, hey, this Azure stuff is taking off, skyrocketing. Like, 'cause I was like, AWS just doesn't feel right to me. And they're like, well, you can get these Azure certs. We can put you in front of people because of all your Microsoft background. And I said, awesome. Tell the company that I'll have the cert in 2 weeks. And they said, I don't think you will, but we'll put you up there. Hey, a company wants to interview you in a week. Will you have your cert? Sat for my cert 3 days later, had my AZ 104 in hand for them to interview me. All that being said, my first role post firing and post kind of running my own business there for a bit was as an Azure platform architect for another Microsoft service partner. You guessed it. We were supporting all kinds of shipping companies, all kinds of retail companies. We had a couple very large manufacturing plants. It was a very cool business. I'm not gonna lie, ran all kinds of cool stuff throughout that year, but it was a lot of travel away from my family and back to back to back projects, supporting as a project lead, project architect lead, and learned all kinds of things from Azure DevOps to automation to Azure Virtual Desktop. It was a insanely cool role, but unfortunately, again, it just wasn't, in my opinion, the right role, the right time. For me, with all the travel, 2 young kids, putting that on my wife at the time just wasn't it. So I went and decided to move to a new company where I was a delivery architect for again, you guessed it, Microsoft partner, where I went and started doing all kinds of M365 migrations, leading out rollouts for all kinds of companies. I mean, as that company, we supported over 40 different thousand different contracts and companies. It was incredible, and I'm proud to say I worked there for almost 3 years, moving from being a delivery resource and projects to moving to what I love, right? And I think the best role in the world, which is pre-sales, also known as solutions engineering, sales engineering, basically building out different projects for customers around the world before they get sold in actual delivery. Our job is to help customers envision the project, scope the project in their organization, built on their ecosystem, and then hand that project to delivery and then go on to the next, right? So after 2.5 years in doing that, I started interviewing, just seeing my process, any company, right, post being fired, just owing it to myself, is every 6 to 9 months, I redo my resume and see where I'm at. So after that half-year break, I said, hey, what's next for me in this input? I could tell the company was moving into a direction of Microsoft plus other solutions, right? They were asking me, hey, do you see yourself doing more than just Microsoft? And long story short, is I see Microsoft as my focus, others as a support, right? It's always a better together. So I wanted to go to a Microsoft focused partner. So I was able to, again, work with a recruiter, get hired on as a pre-sales architect doing Microsoft security, right? And they also had do D365, modern work, all the other practices. I'm focusing on Microsoft security, right? It's awesome. 6 months later, again, we're a small partner. So I was able to, one, show my benefit to the company and show how I was willing to grow my connections with Microsoft and my depth in the Microsoft ecosystem, not only knowing the product, but knowing the connections and knowing networking and actually meeting people and knowing the industry. Be able to put myself in position and running for the director role, the pre-sales team, and got the role. So I'm super excited to say that I am the director of solutions engineering at my new company, and I'm excited to see what comes next as we build and plan for FY25. So again, very wordy, but all that to tell you, path is ever winding, and it is what you make, right? Where you are today is just a waypoint on your lifelong journey. And we're all here just to make each day better, right? We were gifted the present of waking up, right? Again, I'll give you the saying that we all like to say. Sometimes we just don't say it enough, right? Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a MFing gift. Live it like it, right? So again, thank you for joining me on day one, the 100-day journey. Thank you, Miss Alexis Bertoff, for challenging us with it. And until tomorrow, peace.